Hi and welcome to Conversations with Robyn. Today's guest, William Whitecloud. William is a self-transformation facilitator. He's also a presenter and speaker and is the author on what has become Australia's fastest selling metaphysical book, The Magician's Way. So we're going to be finding out a great deal about what it is that William does in the world and also his journey in life in doing that particular work. And William, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Robyn. I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Oh, it's an honour. It really is. Because I actually read your book late last year, 2006, and was just so impressed with it. And that's why I just had to meet you and say, hey, would you like to be a guest on the show?
Well, and I've heard so much about you, of course. And
Good stuff.
yeah, very good stuff. And thrilled to be here.
Okay. Well, just for those viewers who maybe haven't heard about you or your work in the world in the book, how would you kind of summarise what it is you do?
I think, the way I would choose to summarise what I do is to explain that there are kind of two orientations in life. There's two ways you can approach life fundamentally. And the first way that you can approach life is an approach whereby you assume that what life is about is dealing and coping with life, dealing with your circumstances, fixing your problems, responding to whatever the environment presents you with, whether that's difficulties or opportunities, and that you go with that. Like, for instance, what's a good career to go into now? What makes money? What's big now? Biotechnology or investment banking? I'll get into that. That sort of approach to life. Whereas there's another approach to life, one more seldom, a path less traveled, a road more seldom traveled, which is where you inquire into yourself as to what really matters to you, what your own personal values are, what's true for you, what your heart is, what you love, and follow that. As Joseph Campbell used to say, follow your bliss. And that's what I do in essence, really, basically, is teach people to shift from that survival kind of orientation to a creative orientation, to a purposeful, heart-driven orientation, in which you find that when you do that, not only do you come to what you love and are fed by that, blessed by that, but also all your circumstances and problems and whatever are taken care of at the same time, by magic, as it were. And on the other hand, if you're in that survival orientation, if you're in that coping orientation, what happens is basically you never fully cope successfully anyway, and worse than anything, you never come to your heart, really. You never actually find that, and never find your true joy or fulfillment, or even sustainable, what I'd call true success in life.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is to work from the inside out rather than the outside in.
That's a really good way of putting it.
I actually pinched it from a friend of mine.
I did.
They do that with their business, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It is working from the inside out.
Yeah. So roughly how many years have you been doing this sort of transformational work with people?
I've been involved in this work for 15 years. Firstly as a student of the work, but very quickly I got into counseling, and then people were asking for more than just an insight into themselves. They wanted to know a bit more of how they could, and find out a bit more about the premises behind what I was working with and how they could apply them to their life. So it led to workshops, and then I did that for a while, and soon felt and realized that wasn't taking them far enough either. That it was just short-term fixes, and I really wanted to develop something that would have a real long-term, lasting, sustainable impact on people. Really lead them into a literal transformation where they'd effectively become another person, live another life entirely. And so I then took on, I undertook long-term work that was of a long-term nature. And now work very long term with people, where I do year-long transformation courses, and indeed continue to support those people for years after in managing that transformation.